You listen to me. You listen to me.
Listen to me.
You listen to me closer than you've ever listened.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Friday Night Lights Rewind with your boy Brandon Collins
and Chris Allen.
And we are talking about episode 4 from season 1. Who's Your Daddy?
Yes.
Very tense episode. A lot of shit went down this in this episode, but also we get a little glimpse about Searson and his family life, a little bit more of that, and also that he's willing to step up and do the work to be QB. After he finds out that he's probably going to be replaced by a black man, he gets a fire under his ass.
Yeah, man. I feel like there's a lot to talk about on this episode. How did you feel about it overall?
Okay. I liked it. I love me some Searson. I think it's because, for anyone that wasn't like the confident jock kind of smash, or even like to some point, street, like who didn't have that kind of charisma and stuff like that. Searson's your dude. Like, cause right. Searson's like a nice guy who is very awkward. He mutters a lot and stuff like that. He's got a lot of shit going on at home that he tries not to let seep into, his school life and his relationships and things like that. And man, I just love Zach Clifford's performance. Matt Searson's just my dude. And, he keeps getting kicked down and he keeps getting back up. Like he hears all the whispers about voodoo, and then coach is ultimately like, yeah, I gotta start voodoo or whatever. But that's more the next episode. But he just sees all these things happening, and then he's trying to put in the work. Now there's other stuff that happens in this episode, specifically like with Julie, and I didn't realize that Matt was into her so early in the series.
Oh yeah, he was into her from the get-go, man.
Yeah. Which I gotta say, the casting of Julie as the daughter of the Taylors, perfect casting.
I know, she does look like their kid.
Yeah, it's fucking uncanny, actually.
Yeah, she's a great mix of both of them.
I think that's why that family works so well.
Yeah, because
you believe that they're like I was surprised, and this happens with actors and stuff like that. I'm like, so the spouses of Kyle Chandler and Connie Britton were ever like on set, like, yo, y'all fucking. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they so good together.
It's just like, yo, y'all look too good on screen. Y'all look too good together.
But I like this episode. The one thing that there's two things that rub me the wrong way.
Okay.
One is the Julie, the white, the dance class. I was like, white girls dancing hip hop.
Yes.
Because I remember I took one hip hop class. My mom signed me up like the Y or something like that. And I remember this white woman who was teaching hip hop and like to TLC's Creep. And it was just me and all these women. And I was just like, this ain't the move. I left like halfway through. I was like, I can't do this. So I had flashbacks of that shit. And the other is, okay, Riggins doesn't like a lot of people, but the way he says that he hates voodoo, I was like, yo, this feels more racist than anything, because now it's a pattern. But first episode, he's like, I don't care about Smash. It's not racism. And now I'm like, the way he said he didn't like voodoo, I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it, Riggins.
Riggins is showing them through true colors.
Yeah.
This is I love this episode. This is when like shit starts to really not that it wasn't real, but like people are starting to like really accept their roles and see things for what they are. That's what I you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I want to jump around too much or you want to go chronological.
I mean, there's not that much that happens in this episode, right? It's like they're preparing for
I got some notes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, in this episode, it's just like a lot of like preparing for the next game. Searson trying to figure shit out and stuff like that. And there's also that party, the football party.
Oh, which is hilarious. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about, because I didn't know if we were going to go chronologically. So, yeah, we open up at the party. It's a typical whack high school party. And Voodoo shows up, changes the music. And the funniest shit was like when Smash was like, yo, doo-doo. He called him doo-doo.
Yeah, mad disrespectful. But
that
also
so
could have
been
very racist if it wasn't a black dude that said that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's weird the way that Buddy says voodoo a few times. I'm like, I don't like the way he say that shit.
Oh yeah, I wrote down in my notes. I said, what did Buddy do? What did Buddy do?
Voodoo.
Yeah, when he said, I don't like how Buddy says, got my voodoo working. I was like, ooh, that
Yeah,
sounded like some
yeah,
plantation shit.
it does.
And the way he's always sweating, like the guy who plays, fucking, why am I blanking on his name?
Buddy
Buddy.
Garrity,
Yeah, the way his like upper lip sweats, he's got
he's
that like very.
perfect.
I read this book a long time ago. Like they ended up casting, I think, Dean Norris from Breaking Bad in it. But there's this book called Under the Dome by Stephen King, where like the sheriff or chief of the town, he's
Oh
like this
yeah.
overweight dude, most despicable, fucking terrible dude in the world. I always saw Brad Leland, who plays Buddy Garrity, in that role. I
As
thought
that
that he
guy.
personified that dude the way he plays Buddy, especially in these early seasons, because
Yeah,
Buddy's a huge piece of shit, especially
he
in season
is. He's such the like typical like Texas kind of like snakes oil salesman. You know what I mean? He just seems like he's always eating a lot of steaks. He's always sweating. Just you know what I mean? Just
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
drinking, yeah, just drinking liquor all the time, drunk, got a big old car, I mean big old truck. He just he fits it perfectly. His accent, everything is just spot on. His physicality, everything just fits that role. Um yeah, this is an episode where I'm like, yo, Matt is my guy. He is my guy.
100%.
And so what did you think of this? So when they come into the locker room, I'm gonna back up. So we come into the locker room, it's trashed. Coach is pissed. He brings the team in. He's like, yo, no retaliation. Do you
Yep.
think deep down inside he's like, yo, I hope they kind of do something, but I also, as an adult, I don't want this shit to get out of hand.
No, I think Taylor, because remember, Taylor's still getting acclimated to this whole world and how, Dylan runs, right?
Right.
And so I think he genuinely is hoping that they will listen to him, that they won't do any shit, because he just doesn't want the extra headache. He's already got all the stress of this game coming up with the rivalry. You know, you already got people, in previous episodes kind of whispering to his kids, his daughter about,
Oh
you might
yeah.
have to move out of here and stuff like that. He's got so much pressure. I think the last thing he wants to deal with is this fucking weird ass beef between these
Right.
two schools, right?
Right.
And even when the brick goes through the window at the house and stuff, he's fuming, but it's not like we gotta get these motherfuckers. He's just like, God damn it! Like, I think he's trying to. I think he's genuinely trying to control what he can control, and by being the
Yeah.
coach, he's like, I'm doing my best to tell y'all to back the fuck down. Don't
Right.
escalate this, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I
Yeah.
don't know how crazy y'all can get. Like, I've already seen what y'all like doing the passive aggressive shit is like. So I can't imagine what a full blown war, looks like.
Yeah, because when I first, because obviously, when I first took notes on this, I was like, he probably really wants them to do something, but he knows as a coach, he has to say like, "Hey, don't retaliate." But then I thought about it, and I really looked at the damage that they did to the locker room. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even funny. You know what I mean? It's like
Nah,
they
nah.
actually vandalized the locker room.
Yeah, it's
Like,
fucked up.
yeah, it would be one thing if they came in and like they sprayed like uh shaving cream on everything or like fill the weight room with balloons or some shit like that. But like they're already breaking shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like how you can't go down from there. It's only gonna get worse as we saw when when they leave the barbecue, which is a topic in
Yeah.
itself. So
That's a
they did,
lot. That's a lot to put on a coach and his family, man.
yeah.
Like,
I'm
because
gonna get to that.
yeah, yeah, that was insane.
It was. So to go back to the rivalry and the retaliation, they end up going, they find the Arnett Meade quarterback's car and they beat it the shit. And did you notice how Matt took those extra swings? Like he's frustrated.
Well, that's because we, like I said, we get a glimpse into more of his home life, particularly like his relationship with his dad, and he had that video call on that old ass Mac, which I was like, damn, I didn't realize we were doing video calls like that still back then.
Yeah.
But his dad's distant. His grandmother is becoming more aloof. There's a part of the episode where she's wandered off. She gets escorted back to the house by police. He's got all the stress. He's got no one he can take it out on. He's got the frustration with basically being replaced by Voodoo because no one in this fucking town believes in him. Even though the coach says he does, he's still like, yeah, but jerked around before by like, adult authority figures and stuff like that. So those extra swings were for a lot of other things. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what some people don't understand about like this sports stuff. And I would guess for any extracurriculars where you're a coach or a manager or you know a you know a teacher or whatever, it's just like for some kids that's their refuge. You know what I mean? You're the only positive male or female adult figure in their life. And telling them that they're not going to start or to cut them or to cut their playing time. You know what I mean? It's like it's harder than just football because they realize I'm more than just a coach to this person. It's just like I build this person up, but I also got to be like, yo, you can't play. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
like it's a lot to put on somebody, and like Matt is, it's a lot that Matt's going through, man. And as a prior military person, I also connected with with Matt more, um, because it was interesting to see. Even at the time, I wasn't old enough to have a kid that age. I had friends and knew people who went to Iraq and their kids were in high school. You know what I mean? So like to kind of see like a fictitious story play out, was pretty interesting. Because and now that I think about it, like I never thought about that. We would have guys go to Iraq for 6 months, and we knew he had a wife and a kid, but like at that time, I just wasn't really in the position to like have to worry about anything that his family needed. You know what I'm saying? Because I was such a like a
Yeah.
young, I was a younger airman, and it just wasn't my job. So it's just this that part of the show made me connect with it even more. And the fact that a military person is the one who introduced me to the show was it just really added to the like to it added more meat to the show for me, man. Yeah,
100%. And it's really sad when Matt is calling his dad and basically kind of saying like he's not saying it explicitly, but he's basically, he's a 16, 17-year-old kid. He's like, Dad, I need help.
yeah,
He's basically telling dad, like, I need help. Like, grandma's getting too much. I'm fucking trying to be the starting quarterback. I'm trying to do right by everyone around me, and I need your
right,
help. And the dad's just like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm deployed and stuff. It's like, it's either you pay for it now or you pay for it later. My wife loves to say that shit. And it's like, well, if this escalates, child services gets involved, and I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean?
right,
Like,
yeah,
so dad, you gotta like eventually you're gonna have to come back. But we
right,
we both know what happens later in the series and stuff like that. But
yeah,
yeah, it's just a lot to put on Saracen. So him losing his shit with the rivals car and stuff like that absolutely made sense. I
yeah.
did okay, so there's a few things we got to talk about. Also, I want to go back real quick to the first party where Voodoo changes the music. Also, Aldous Hodge is just angry black man. This entire like his two episodes, he's just the angriest brother I've ever seen. I get it; he's a
Yeah,
refugee from
yeah,
Katrina. He's been let down by the government. All these things, um, and apparently he's a
yeah,
really good football player. But I'm like, I wrote down my notes. I'm like, what good is it to be that fast and that skilled if no one on your team will follow you?
yeah.
Like no one on
So
the team likes him.
they don't want to play for him, and it's like they know that he's good, but his attitude just he won't he
I did
can't
love his comeback though. When Smash steps to him, he's like, "You gotta climb some trees, brother." I was
yeah.
like, "God," because Aldous Hodges is this tall motherfucker
I
and
know,
everything.
right?
Yeah, but I just, for me, I'm like, okay, Taylor is in a really hard place, and this is what I love about Eric Taylor and Julie, and not Julie,
Tammy,
his wife, yeah, Tammy's relationship, because she is in his corner. She is literally like she's his therapist. She's his partner. She is like his biggest cheerleader. No pun intended,
right,
right? But she also is willing to call him out on his shit when he's being selfish, when he's not thinking clearly, when he's not being true to himself and what he wants. And Taylor, I think, is Eric Taylor's in a very complex position right now because he's like, Saracen is the guy who I can mold to be a great quarterback. I just don't have the fucking time. And I don't know if he can meet the moment. This voodoo dude is incredibly skilled, but he's uncoachable, basically. Like we have to basically let him do his own thing. And it's like he's trying to weigh those options. And then, he's trying to ask Tammy, and Tammy's dealing with the party and shit like that. I love their like, argument / conversation under the table.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got
She's like,
that.
she's like, I will get under the table and I'm gonna have a big smile on my face, but right now I'm angry.
Yeah,
Because
true.
he brought cranberry juice and apples. He brought
Yeah.
nothing helpful to the barbecue. My wife is like, that's some shit you would do. You would bring the
Oh
least
wow.
helpful things in the moment. I was like, oh, well.
Yeah, he's and springing it on her last minute is the shit that I would do. But the difference is like I would end up doing all the cooking. My wife wouldn't do shit. She would go, nah, nope, no
I was
way.
going to say, we didn't see any characters comment on the cooking because I imagine I love Tammy Taylor. I think, Connie Britton, Lord of Money. I don't know if that woman can cook. And I definitely don't know if she can cook for like bulk. You know what I mean? Because she was sending the daughter out for ribs and stuff like last minute. Like ribs take a
Yeah.
while to season and you got to take out the
The
extra
membrane.
layers. Yeah, like
Yeah.
this isn't
Yeah.
an easy task unless she has a
Nah.
lot of moms helping out, which we didn't quite see because it's not really about that. But the fact that the players are all coming, coaches are all coming, and then their families are coming. I was like, do they even have the space?
I know, man. That's like 100 people. That's crazy. And I was thinking too, like, is the school paying for this? Is it out of his pocket? Like, this
It
is
sounds like it's
crazy.
out. Yeah, my wife was because my wife has started to watch this with me and stuff like that. So she was asking the same thing. She's like, "Is this out of their budget?" I'm like, "I think so," because in our recent episode, you and I talked about what was likely Coach Taylor's salary, and it
He
looks
had
like it's
bread.
yeah, it was probably almost in the six figures, if not then, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like it's expected that the coach would cover this
Yeah.
because they're
And,
getting paid enough. I
yeah,
mean,
because that's definitely a town where like it's just like, yeah, we know what you make, motherfucker. So you paying for this. And
to be
go
fair,
ahead.
if he had a good accountant, it's probably like I don't want to be like rude or anything like that. I'm sure people down in Texas they use accountants and stuff like that, especially in sports world. If he had a good accountant though, he'd be able to write this shit off.
Oh yeah. That's
He
an
can write
expense.
all this
Exactly.
off. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
There was what the hell was that I want to bring up? Oh, also to go back to the Voodoo Tatum thing, the other piece
I
to
hate
that,
voodoo. I hate that name
I
so
know,
much.
me too.
It's so racist.
The other thing, the other piece to the Voodoo thing is also if he let Voodoo start, not only is he relinquishing power to Voodoo and letting him do what he does, he's also giving Buddy and the boosters that
Yep.
he's opening that door to be told what to do. Like
Yep.
now he's losing control of his team, and now they're gonna start pushing the agenda that they want and all that kind of stuff. Because remember when Buddy did that radio interview,
Oh yeah,
uh,
that was a
he
signal.
yeah, he was just like, well, so he's like, oh, so you're saying that he's gonna start? And he was just like, well, that's up to the coach. And it was just like that was a moment shit could have got real weird for Coach Taylor. You know what I'm
Yeah, I mean
saying?
he's constantly putting pressure on Coach Taylor. I mean, even at the
Constantly.
at the dinner, like the
Yeah.
barbecue, a few of the dads are asking him like, "Well, who's going to start?" And then the buddy's like, "Well, we got the man right here." Like Noah Taylor's got a bunch of shit that he's trying to do just to host this thing, and
Right,
and like
man.
they try to ask him. I mean, because Taylor's getting inundated with questions the whole time about who's starting, who's starting. Saracen even asks him. He kind of like gets a little testy with them and stuff like that. He later apologizes,
Right.
tells him Voodoo is going to start. But we get more into that in the next episode. We'll get her done. But I going back to the barbecue and stuff like that. I was just like, yo, this is just too much. And then, like you said, you would have done more stuff because Taylor didn't even bring ice. And I was just like, bro, you gotta get it together, man. I know, and I love that's one of the moments where I really loved the realism between Tammy and Eric's relationship when he
Mhm.
keeps telling Tammy, he's like, I got a lot on my mind, I got a lot going on. She's like, we all do.
Right.
We all have a lot going on in our mind. And then she kicks him out of his office. I love
Yeah.
that shit. Like
Yeah.
I love their dynamic. It feels so real and it feels like a relationship where, they know each other so well and it feels authentic. And like,
Right.
I
It
know you've
does.
been married for a while. I've been married for a while. And like that's my wife and I's dynamic, right? Like if you were outsider looking in, you'd be like, these two know each other very, very well.
Right.
Because my
Yeah,
wife and I,
man.
we don't really get in arguments. We get into like things like the under the table situation where we're like through gritted teeth, like whispering to each other, like I'm mad at you right now, but we're gonna keep the smiles going and keep this shit
Yeah.
going. But this ain't great. We'll talk about this
You
later.
you know what I know? I noticed for us, whenever we want to discuss something, and we're just saying we don't argue that much, but I feel like when we talk about stuff in public, we're so good at like keeping our bearing. Because I was in the military for 20 years. You know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes I'm like, yo, let's take this to Starbucks. because here we getting off track. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Other shit is getting said, but if we go into public, it's just like we sit quietly and like adults just discuss something, which is for some people might be weird to actually go into public to discuss
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, we've taken it to the public before.
Yeah.
It's a
So we do have to talk a little bit about the street, Lila, Tim
damn.
Riggins
We are.
dynamic. Yeah, like I mean, we got time. We just started. We're just
Yeah.
getting started, babe. But yeah, so Lila and Tim are all awkward because they had that kiss and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then Tim basically like tells her that, like, you know, later on the episode, like, I can't stop thinking about you. And I mean, he creeps in her bedroom. He just
Yo,
pops up like a fucking serial killer.
bro,
Uh,
I have creep in my notes in all caps right in my face. Is it? He's in her room.
Yeah, I mean that's some late '90s, early 2000s
Yeah,
bullshit. They don't do
yeah,
that no more. The niggas will get
yeah,
shot for that.
yeah. I think that you're right. I really think that's like some homage to like the '80s type shit. Yeah, it's
100%.
very, it's very, yeah, it's very Americana.
Mm.
'80s Americana. Yeah, the boyfriend sneaking in the window and shit. Yeah, I think that's probably a homage. Um, I I don't. I just think it's weird that like one, this is where Lila starts to really piss me off because it's like, and I get it, she's young, she don't understand, but she's trying to play both sides of the fence with this shit. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Where
Yeah.
it's just like we kissing, and then it's just like, and the next episode she said some shit we'll get into where I'm like, this is so unfair. But it's just like he's in her bedroom, she's like, no, I like it. It's like you didn't put up much of a fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I know that sounds weird to say. She
No,
didn't put up
because
much of a fight.
no, because my wife was like, she wants it. Like,
Yeah.
stop denying. Like Tim Riggins, you know, I wrote down, I was like, I hated niggas like this. But you know, right? Because the bad boys always got the Lila Garrity's and the Tyros. They could
Yeah.
get any chick. They could get any chick on the spectrum. And that always infuriated me. But I'm like, you know, that's the luck of the draw, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whether or not Tim will be happy later on in life, we'll discuss in future, like, you know, seasons. But I was like, damn. But the thing is, the way that Tim looks at her, that's the kind of dude you need to worry about if you were dad of Lila. Because you're like, oh, that dude's got like, I'm a knock you up vibes. So you need to calm the fuck down, young man. Because you know Tim ain't using rubbers.
Oh, nah.
He is not using rubbers, dude. Come on.
Nah.
Especially with a Lila Garrity. If Minka Kelly, man, there were chicks back in Michigan that were bad, but we didn't have a Minka Kelly bad. We had one Ethiopian chick named Jale, who was one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen in my life. She'd be close, but even then, like, yeah, it's insane.
That's so funny. Yeah, I had my first African crush was this chick named Shola in high
Ooh.
school. Oh my God. Yeah. Absolutely loved her. She's doing well. She ran track at like Penn State or something like that. Yeah. What?
You said do well, and then you
She's
kind of
doing
like
well.
drifted off a little bit in your
Yeah,
eyes.
she's doing well. But you know what? I was so intimidated by her, and I want to say she was like 2 classes ahead of me. So it was almost, you know how it is in high school. Like sometimes you look at like the juniors and seniors, like, oh, that's a grown woman. Like I knew
Yeah.
to not even broach the subject.
Yeah, it's funny because I think in a past episode we talked about how I had a girlfriend in high school who was older than me. Like, yeah, she was a year older than me. And like I was thinking, well, how did that happen? It's because at my high school there was this weird. You were able to take weird electives where you could be like a freshman or sophomore in a class with like a senior. And
BC,
so
you low key was the dude in high school.
I was not.
Yeah, you just
I
realizing
didn't
it
feel
now,
like
BC.
it.
Yeah,
I did not feel like it at the time, man.
that's what
Trust
this.
me.
You know what? That's what this podcast is going to turn into in the end. By the end, it's just like, yo, I was him.
I didn't even know.
You're gonna realize you was him in high school. Watch.
Yeah. I've had a few moments where I'm like, oh damn, I was the dude, and I didn't even know. I didn't even capitalize on it. Like I was the only growing up like in the early 20s. I was the only dude that had my own apartment and had a 2-bedroom apartment. And like people were like, bro, you should be having parties all the time. I was having parties, but like they were like, you could have been the man.
But see, the reason why you had that is because you weren't doing the other thing.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I wasn't acting crazy. I wasn't doing
you
heroin in the streets.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's why you had the 2-bedroom. That's crazy, man.
Can we be honest though? As beautiful as Mika Kelly is, her performance as Lila in this episode was not good.
It was
Can we
not.
be honest? It was not good.
Yeah, it was just like what scene? Oh man, I don't know if it was that scene, but there's another one. She was like, "I don't want to go to hell. I am." It was like it was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah,
Like
there's
her
some
fake
cringy
whining.
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole episode, eventually it was one of my last notes. I'm just like, she just was not that good in this.
It's almost like bad acting on purpose, and she's playing the damsel in distress. Now, you know what I mean? It's just like it's very bad.
A little bit, yeah. The Garrity's just weren't in good shape this episode. Buddy, the actor who played Buddy though, always top notch, but he was just he's a piece of shit. Whereas Lila was a piece of shit, but then also portrayed poorly by Mickey Kelly in this episode. And then Tim Riggins is just he's just a fucking. I would not want to be friends with this guy, man. He is so self-destructive. I mean, the fact that he pushes Matt to help with the vandalism of the lead quarterback of the rival team's car. He basically does the opposite of what Ice Cube does to Cuba and Boys in the Hood, where he lets him go. He's like, no, you staying in this fucking car.
That's true. You think he would have pushed Street to do that?
That's a good question. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I think Street would have encouraged the team not to retaliate. Yeah. He would have been like, the coach said, don't do anything. We don't do anything. I think Street, it's almost like a power vacuum with Street being, and we could talk about his whole story with with
you're right.
With the amputees and doing the physical therapy and stuff like that. Street being, indisposed, creates this power vacuum in the team, and that's why Taylor is now, he's got to deal with that offensive coordinator fucking plotting with Buddy behind his back. He's got to deal with Voodoo potentially calling the shots. He can't get the confidence that Searson just has a plethora of issues. So I think that's the problem. It's like he no longer has someone that people believe in on the team to be his second in command, to be to reiterate his policies and his approach. Because the fact that he doesn't have Voodoo in his corner, he also knows, going back to your point about the boosters and everything, he's also got a QB who in theory should be the leader of the team, who isn't bought into his approach, who basically says we're in an arranged marriage. You know what I mean? That comes into the next episode, but this is all part of the plot line, right? And so it's very much like he kind of doesn't have anyone that he can fully rely on right now.
Yeah,
besides himself, and he's not the one playing the game.
Right. And like Tammy gets it, but she gets it because she gives him a lot of good advice. But I think he needs somebody like boots on the ground, somebody like within the team organization that he can talk to. But yeah, he can't.
He literally can't. He has no one right now, right?
Yeah, he has nobody, and he has to rely on Tammy, which in a marriage, hey, that's fine. But you would like to have a professional colleague who you knew was in your corner. But yeah, he can't even trust his coaching staff right now.
Yeah. One of the most isolated, and I think we same like with athletes, I would say just anyone who's a pioneer, I don't think we give them enough credit for being in that position. I'm not saying that Eric Taylor's a pioneer. Like, there's plenty of coaches that go through losing star players and stuff like that, but it can be very isolating when you're in a position that's under a lot of pressure and there's no one else you can talk to who has been in the same position. There might be some people that have been in the same position, but you can't connect with them. You can't reach them for whatever reason. Or some people who are like literally have never been in that situation. So now you're like, fuck. Right. And
yeah, he's in the, and you got to think about this too. He was just Jason's quarterback coach. That's it. He was just his quarterback coach, and Mac was the guy, who was supposed to take over. And Mac even said that, like, yo, you think I don't want that seat? Yeah, I do, but I love these kids, so I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be like that.
I feel badly. We're bleeding over a lot into episode 5, but like the thing is, a lot of these plots they carry over to the next episode.
It's building up.
It kind of ends on a cliffhanger because it's right before the week of the preparation for the rival game, and basically that's going to determine if the Dylans stay in the running for the championship. Right. And so there's a lot of pressure building up towards this game. There's a lot of talk about it. That's why there's so much pressure on Taylor to decide who's starting, so they can start getting their ducks in a row for that. But it's just there's a lot going on. We didn't even talk about Matt getting jumped by that QB as business. He got worked.
He got worked. So
And
I
it
was
didn't
gonna
snitch. Didn't snitch out
see,
anybody.
that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. So when they did retaliate, there's a scene where they're running the entire team on the in the bleachers. And I will say, as someone who plays sports, you road crew, you've been in, just group
Yep.
environments. I do believe deep down inside that all the coaches were like, hell yeah, our boys are not snitching. I think that's a great thing. You know what I mean? Because like,
100%.
yeah, the car got fucked up. That sucks. But nobody was hurt.
Well,
Yes,
Searson was hurt. Searson
well,
got
I
hurt.
mean, before then,
Yeah, yeah,
like they got ran for damaging the car. He hadn't gotten beat up yet.
yeah. You're right. You're right. And
Because yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like
yeah,
outwardly the coaches are mad and yelling and all that kind of stuff. But when the team was out of there and it's just the coaches in the office, they're like, "Yo, I'm proud of our guys." I'm not happy that they went out and destroyed somebody's property. That's one thing. But the fact that they did not tell on each other, no one snitched. We have a cohesive unit
yep.
here. That's a great thing.
They're sticking together.
They're sticking together.
even
Fuck
with
yeah.
the outlier of Voodoo, they're still working together, basically,
They're
right? And
still
so
working together. Yeah.
yeah, and
And
so I think
then
that's an important sign for Taylor that things are coming around. It's just that and I think it also gets some buy-in from Matt on later on. I think especially when he shows up jacked up and hasn't given up anybody and things like that. I think he
yeah.
earns a lot of respect for that. I did laugh really hard when he because Taylor picks him up from the hospital and he goes with him to the dance recital to Julie's, and he's just Tammy looks at him like, what the fuck? And it was like, yo, it looks like the coach beat out Searson and then brought him to this dance recital.
Like you don't want to know. Yeah. By the way, worst dance recital I've ever
So
seen
bad.
in my life. They spent zero budget, $0 on this. They hired no choreographer. I'm sorry. It was just like, yo, just swing your leg out and we'll set up some lights that we don't even use anymore. I mean, it was so bad. I get it was not the purpose of the scene to really see that, but oh my God, put a little bit of effort into that set. Just
Yeah,
a little. It's
it was
so
rough.
bad.
It was really bad, and all the white girls were off beat. And the only thing I laughed at though was Searson was just like he was like a kid in a candy shop watching Julie dance. And I was like, yo, the Taylors don't know that they got Searson, that they literally brought Searson to the happiest place in the world he could be at right now.
I know,
He
yeah.
looked like Bill Clinton when he was watching Ariana Grande at
Yeah.
at the one dude's funeral. just he's just like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's so creepy.
So
Oh, that
creepy.
bad.
Yeah.
Calm
It's
down, bro.
funny. It's funny too, looking at the early, and they are in high school, but the 2000s, early 2000s workout clothes, like the double. I remember women used to wear the double tank tops and just like
Oh yeah.
the little stretch pants that we thought was something. Like the stuff they wear to the gym now is insane,
Mm,
insane. And it's like it's gym apparel, and they just wear it out.
yeah. Yeah. It's
And I'm not complaining, but like like the one piece bodysuit where it's got like the low dip in the back.
mm-hmm.
Like women now, they just wear that out and they just wear a crop top um puffer jacket. And I'm there for it. I'm
like
there for it.
I still like it.
I'm
I
in.
still
I'm
appreciate
in.
it.
Dude, women dress like superheroes now. It's crazy. Just
Mhm.
all the stretchy, the lines and the hair. It's crazy.
Oh
They're
yeah, women
ridiculous.
have like the most uncomfortable outfits I could ever imagine, and they rock them with so much confidence and
So
so much
much
grace.
confidence.
Like I could never with the fucking leotards and the fucking things up the ass and the booty cheeks out and stuff like. I
Yeah.
get cold just thinking about it.
Yeah. My wife, man, we went to my wife got an award. I can't say something. She got an award, but she wore like this bodysuit that had a cape and it had rhinestones, glued to. I'm like, this is crazy. I've just got a shirt and pants. You got a long train and a cape and rhinestones and a hat.
She looking like Radigan from the
Yeah.
Great Mouse Detective.
And then we met up with her friends and like that's what they like to do, man. They
Hey,
like to get dressed
yeah,
up and hang out, man. So I'm there for it.
you look good, you feel good. You
Yeah,
know what
that's
I
what she
mean?
yeah, she always says that. I'm
Do
trying
what
to
you gotta do.
we did this is something we did not get into, man. We did talk about Street a little bit, but the relationship between him and Herc, his
Yes.
roommate.
Yep. And Herc is, especially his introduction, it's so crass. And that actor, he's done a lot of stuff outside of Friday Night Lights. The actor's name is Kevin Rankin.
Okay.
He's been in a lot of different projects and stuff like that. Most notably, Unforgettable. He was Kenny in Breaking Bad. He was also in Justified. So he's been in a bunch of stuff. But his introduction about, it's like, when I say gay, I don't mean homosexual. I mean retarded. And
oh yeah,
it's just very crass.
So
it's 2006, but
so funny.
at the same time, I think that's what. And this is, things are very politically correct these days. I think that comedy, especially, is starting to edge a little bit harder, and we're going back to being able to kind of laugh at stuff without, people think it's malicious intent. And I think that dialogue made this feel as authentic as possible, because that is how dudes talk.
Yeah,
that is how people talk. I'm not saying it's right, but that is how people talk sometimes, especially
right,
who are in their comfort zone.
Yeah, Herc would be a great alt-right comic.
He would.
It's just, yeah.
He'd be at Mothership headlining a weekend, doing very, very well. But yeah,
it's just so funny, that line that like he said. It's just like, when I say gay, I don't mean gay in a homosexual way. I mean retarded. It's like in 2024 that would kill in a club.
Yeah, it would. It would. Like you would be I don't say inauthentic, but you would be lying to yourself if you didn't think that people would laugh at that joke.
Yeah, it's just so funny.
People laugh at juvenile shit. People laugh at crash shit. People laugh at a lot of different stuff. That's what, there's different comedy sensibilities. And I think for me, like I said, it's all about intent. Like if you don't maliciously mean to offend people who are mentally handicapped with by saying the R word, it's, I'm not giving you a pass, but I'm saying you have the artist, ability to explore that if you want to. There might be ramifications for that, but do you, right? But for me, kind of what you were hinting at is that there's some comics that we know for sure not only say offensive things, but believe in those offensive things wholeheartedly. And that's the problem for me.
Yeah, that's what's funny. You know what I think will be funny to know is if even back then when they wrote that line, they were like, should we say that? And they're like, yo, he's in a wheelchair, it's fine. Like in 2006, they're like, no, the guy's in a wheelchair, he can say it. It's like,
bro, they used to say some wild shit in these teen dramas and stuff like that. My wife and I, we were rewatching the OC with my old college roommate, and in one episode I've known where this rich white dude goes Shiite Muslim, and we were like, what? like it was almost like he was trying to say God damn, but he said Shiite Muslim. We were just like, huh?
wow.
They used to say wild shit on these shows, man.
We're gonna get into it. There's an episode about that too. The whole thing about
yeah.
That's gonna be a good one. I think one of my favorite scenes in this episode was with Herc and Jason, when Jason was like, you don't know me. He was like, I know exactly who you are. And he broke down the next 18 months of his life. Mm-hmm. Remember that scene? He was like, in 2 months, this is going to happen. The balloons are going to stop. And it's just like, when you watch the show out, so much of what he said came to pass. The lawsuit, his the divorce, all that stuff kind of come to pass in his life. And it's just, it's funny. I feel like that was the best type of roommate for Jason to have. Absolutely. He's kind of like a coach. You know what I mean? Like Jason needs a coach that's just like, yo, stop fucking crying, get out there, get it done. And that's exactly what Herc is. He's a no nonsense, hard-nosed coach who's been there. And we forget, he was a Olympic athlete.
Yep. So it's like you have a star athlete who was probably at the top of his game, and whatever happened. And yeah, like you're right. He's the perfect person for Jason Street to meet right now in his life, because he's the only one that's actually being like, this is your life going forward. Stop living in La La Land. Stop thinking that, things are going to drastically change. You got to accept where you are now and move forward with the tools that you have. Right. Cause he said, at least we have our hands.
Yeah, that's true too, man. He did say that. He's like, at least we have our hands.
I love the representation of this episode too, with the disabled athletes and professionals and things like that. And you see how they're able, they're working to, navigate life in their circumstances, right? And Street's observing that as a teenager who just kind of lost everything, is trying to figure out his path forward. And I gotta give it to the actor. Fuck, I always blink on his name, but it's
Rankin?
who played
Oh, you
Jason
mean
Street.
Street?
Yeah, fuck, I always blink on this. Scott Porter, who did a really good job, who does a really good job this whole season playing Jason Street, going through this physical transformation, but also an emotional transformation, because we'll talk about the next episode where he has a great emotional moment with Riggins. But just to put a bow on this plot here, I did love again, Herc is just very crass and very in Street's face and things like that. But it's kind of like he needed someone to kind of knock him around a little bit. Everyone's been like treating Street with kid gloves, and
He
like
hates it.
and like he's this baby, and it's like, oh, it's good to finally have someone who doesn't censor themselves with me.
Right. Yeah. Because I think he was buying into the fantasy that everything was going to be fine. And then like he kind of turned on Tyra. I mean, not Tyra, but Lila a little bit and was like, yo, I'm not gonna be like, this is it. And then I think, yeah, Herc pushed him over the edge, you know. And also too, now that I think about it, like, and maybe Jason thought about this. Like, Herc was an Olympic athlete. He'd been there. So it's kind of like, this guy doesn't want to hear my coulda, shoulda, wouldas. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
to be honest, we don't know what the fuck was going to happen with Street at Notre Dame. I would say more than likely what was going to happen was that he was going to get to Notre Dame and find out, oh shit, there's a bunch of other guys just like me. I'm a third string quarterback. You know what I mean? And then next thing you know, he's just back at, in Dillon coaching or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But at that age, he's like, oh, I'm going to the league. He's the next Peyton Manning. But I think he probably thought about that as well. It's just like, man, this guy actually made it. He was an Olympic athlete, and all my shit was up in the air.
Yep. That's what's so interesting when you like get called up to do like a special opportunity or like to do something. You're like, well, they don't know who they about to get. I'm the man. I'm the pioneer in this shit. And then you like meet other people that are exactly like you, or maybe even better. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Who's that's like their regular life. Like, yeah, you're all excited to do some shit, and it's just like, oh yeah, I do this all the time. It's just like, damn, all right, this is I thought this was special. I thought I was, and like, oh no, this is just another tier of life that I was not privy to, and now I am. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And for somebody else, that's their normal operating space that they don't care about.
100%.
Man,
so
yeah.
Let's get into some of our ratings for this episode. So, folks, if this is your first time listening to Friday or watching Friday Night Lights Rewind, we do an on the bench rec, which is a character, sometimes an actor that deserves to be on the bench because maybe their behavior was abhorrent or their performance was just abysmal. So, Chris, for episode 4, who's on the bench for you?
You might be shocked at this one, and I thought I would. I'm benching the coach. I'm benching Coach.
Coach Taylor?
Yeah.
Oh man, okay. What'd he do?
It's what he didn't do. I don't like how he handled the whole Tammy situation. And
it's kind of dismissive of her role, like it's not that big of a deal compared to what I gotta do as a coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So while he was there with I don't really like how he's handling the voodoo situation. One, he's not really being upfront about that shit. And then do you think there's some with Tammy?
Do you think there's some racial dynamics there? Kind of like, you got this big black dude that's just not listening to you. He's not showing up on practice on time. He's doing his own thing. And he's just intimidated physically also probably by this kid.
I don't think because I don't think Coach plays the race shit at all. I don't think he cares about that at all.
Yeah, but remember, it's a different thing. If you have a dude, because for instance, when Coach and Smash were having their moments, right? Butting
heads, knows how it looks.
I know, but like for instance, with Smash butting heads, he knows at the end of the day, my trump card with Smash is I call his mom.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, because mom respects me. Mom respects what I'm trying to do for her son. Right. So at the end of the day, Smash steps to me the wrong way. Quick phone call to mom. Voodoo is just like, he's a fucking, we don't know who he reports to. We don't know what Voodoo situation. You know what I mean?
Right. I think he's a X factor because he doesn't know how to control him at all. You know what I mean? Because If he lets him start, now that kid is in control of the team. Now he's lost control. Voodoo's in control, and Buddy Garrity and the boosters are in control of that team, and now he's just basically a puppet. Um, but I think he's definitely aware of the optics, the sensitivity of the situation. He's a
Yeah.
refugee from, Katrina. That's a
Bronx.
very sensitive topic right now. Things are racially tense at this time in America with that whole situation. I think Coach also knows like Buddy is not on the up and up. He knows that shit
Yeah,
because we see at the
100%.
we see later on he knows like, man, there's a lot of things going on. Like if I don't play him, I could look racist. If I get into, I can't really reprimand him. It can look weird. It's like we were saying, man. It's a lot going on with all these decisions, man. There's a lot of calculus going on. But even with all that being said, coach has a lot on his plate. I just feel like, yeah, him telling Tammy she didn't understand what it was like dealing with these kids and all that kind of stuff. And I get it, their perspective is different, but I felt like that was very rude, disrespectful. And then to throw a 100+ person barbecue on her at the last
Yeah,
minute and really didn't do much to help. I gotta bench my man for that.
that's fair. That's fair, man. Damn. All right. Whew. I mean, I think I'm a coach. I mean, I'm a bench voodoo. I think I'm a bench voodoo just because I don't understand this approach to being so standoffish and so angry at everyone around you and not even try to make inroads with your teammates. Because at the end of the day, you kind of need them on your side because he can't have that approach in college. He can't have that approach in pros. So unless he's going to do a
Yeah.
huge personality change, if he does eventually go like to a great, a D1 school or something like that, that's a terrible way to go about your life. Because at the end of the day, not only do you need the team to support you, to buy into your leadership, you need them to defend you. Because if they don't
Oh
fuck with
yeah.
you, guess what? You're gonna get fucked up on that field, and
Oh
you're not gonna have a
yeah.
career.
Yeah.
Some people do that. A lot of it's so weird how you know people forget that athletes are humans, and at the end of the day, if let's say a whole fucking team didn't fuck with like Peyton Manning or like just name any QB that you all love, but maybe this person is the biggest fucking piece of shit, and you have no idea. Maybe they're fucking people's wives or moms. They're doing some despicable shit.
Yeah.
There's a world where those players are like, we could just end this nigga's career.
Yeah.
Like it might impact us, but then maybe we get siphoned off to other teams that are better. Or like, you know what I mean? It's like at some point, some people might be willing to take the risk of getting fucked up, having a career-ending injury, and they get to move on without you. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that that's what happens, but a lot of people,
Well,
especially in high school, bro,
yeah.
Riggins is well, like not within his rights, but he's well within the power to fucking not defend Smash if he wants to, and Smash
Yeah.
can get fucked up, or
And,
Snarson can get fucked up.
oh yes, when there's a lot of positions very vulnerable in sports and in football specifically. Don't forget, Tim even said he likes to hurt people. Remember, he said that in the pilot.
Yeah,
He liked to hurt people. And it's funny that you mentioned this because there was just an incident this past Sunday where uh the Jaguars quarterback Trevor Wallace, I mean Lawrence Trevor Wallace is a fucking comic. Trevor Lawrence got he Trevor, I'm gonna say it again. Trevor Lawrence slid, and this guy from the shit, I can't remember the teams. It doesn't matter.
okay.
But
And I don't know the team, so you good.
yeah, I smoked a little bit too, so it's just escaping me the names of the players. But Trevor Lawrence got hit as he was sliding. It was a dirty hit. He got knocked out, and his arms went stiff and everything. It was ugly. And yo, the Jaguars went after that dude so bad right there on the field. People were throwing shit at him, and he even wrote on his social media. He goes, "Yo, I get it." He goes, "I did not." He was like, "I was not trying to hurt him." He goes, "I made a bad decision. I'm so sorry. I was not trying to hurt Trevor at all." But he was like, to everybody on his team that tried to fuck me up, he goes, "Y'all were well within your right to do that. Well within your right." And I say all that to say, you're right. As a quarterback, it's just like, yo, you're stupid to do that to your team because if they want to, your offensive line can just let people in and fuck you up. if they want to. You know what I'm saying? They could get you hurt because as when you're the quarterback and you get hit hard, it's your job as a teammate to go out there and fuck up whoever did that to your quarterback. But the way Voodoo is working right now, I mean, you saw how it was. Oh shit, we can't go there. We see the ramifications of that. That is definitely a team sport where, like, if people are not fucking with you, they can leave you out to dry. Because quarterbacks can do it with wide receivers too. Like if you and the quarterback not getting along well, you know what they'll do? They'll call a play for you to cut across the middle, and they'll leave that shit a little bit high, so you got to reach up for it. So now your ribs are exposed, and now you're getting hit by DBs. So like there are ways to put your teammates out there. If y'all not getting along, you can get people fucked up.
100%. 100%.
But
and also, I learned about that. You know, it's funny that the way I learned about how important a defensive line is for a QB, like to protect them, is through Any Given Sunday when Jamie Foxx took over, and like they were like they're not playing for him, they won't protect Beeman. And I was like, oh shit, that's a thing. But so we talked about our on the bench characters.
Yes.
Who is your MVP character for this episode?
My MVP, I got a game ball too. My MVP is going to Tammy.
Okay, same.
I
would say Tammy for character and performance. I think that Connie Britton continues to show why Tammy's such a great force, such a great representation for this role as a partner to a man with, a lot of ambition, a lot of, selfish characteristics, but yet there's still a lot of love there. And she shows the humanity in Eric when he gets lost in the sauce a little bit.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and then my game ball, because you talked about Matt's performance, it goes to Matt.
Okay, it goes to Zach Gifford.
Zach Gifford. Yeah, sorry, Zach Gifford.
It's Guilford. Zach.
Guilford.
I'm sorry, we keep messing up your name. We would love to have you on the show, man. We love you. We love Matt seriously.
Come on, QB1.
Yeah, let's do it. And for folks, if you're new to the episode, the podcast, the game ball is performance. Like we shout out an actor who just did a great performance with a character. I would have given it to Zach as well, but I think Connie Britton, the more we talked about this episode, she just really solidified what Tammy brings to the table and how she's a rock for the Taylor family and how ultimately she's a rock for the Dillons, because without her being, the confidant that Eric needs at times, the Dillon Panthers don't have the success that they have.
Oh, that's true, man.
You know what I mean?
That's true. She's the one behind the man. Yeah, I forgot there was a quick scene too where like when Coach apologizes to her and they kissing and stuff like that. He was laying the groundwork to get to smash.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was thinking about, because folks, spoiler if you haven't seen the whole series, but I was thinking about how later seasons I'm like, oh yeah, the Taylors have another kid. I was like, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it, sir.
Yeah. And I thought this was funny to get before we get out of this episode. At the end of this episode, Matt is like throwing the balls through the tire.
Yeah.
And all I can imagine is Tim's balls slapping Lila's ass as they're fucking. So
yeah, I mean, I wrote that down. I'm like, Tim is a problem when it comes to Lila. The way he looks at her, it's like, I'm surprised Lila didn't get pregnant.
Yeah.
Because he's smashing her better, like, and harder than he ever did with Tyra. He's making love to that girl. Yeah. And I'm like, the way that's at least the way that Taylor Kitsch plays it. He's in love with this chick.
I think I asked this before. I'm pretty sure, like, if we brought the right person on here, they would agree. Is Tim kind of having sex with Street? Is that what he really wants? Is Tim gay?
There might be some homoerotic connection there. I mean, or even more like dark and fucked up. Was Tim always in love with Lila? You know what I mean?
I think that's probably more so than anything. And he respects Jason so much, and I think Tim, he values himself so little that he would never think to step on his boy. Like, yo, that's my man's territory.
Yep.
Like, he would not do that. Yep. But now, or would he have? And maybe Lila wouldn't have because of Jason. That's a great question though, man.
We'll keep talking about it because this love triangle will last for quite a few episodes. So we'll keep discussing.
So do you think that Lila had something for him at all?
I don't think so. I think this is like a, through grief, it just happened. And now they're, the next few episodes, we'll see that they're starting to grow feelings for each other. I mean, because they're around each other a lot more. She has to go so far out of her way to get to this rehabilitation facility to visit Street, and, because of the games and stuff like that. It's just constant close proximity to Tim.
Yeah.
And Tim is the brooding bad boy that everyone's like, oh, he's so hot or whatever. I think he always looks like he smells like hot dogs in Coors Light. But I don't know. Maybe that turns people on in Dillon, Texas. But
he does.
Yeah.
Tim he already seems like just a bitter guy working a dead end job who's never gonna amount to anything. He already has those vibes.
It's true. It's true. Taylor Kitsch also has this very like kind of darkness in his eyes that makes it seem like he quietly gave up a long time ago. But even though he's like a movie star and stuff like that, it's really weird. We'll talk about Taylor Kitsch's career in like probably future episodes as we see the progression of Tim Riggins, or regression in some cases, throughout the series. So final score for the episode, folks, we have a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being a drunk Riggins puking on the field and 10 being a Coach Taylor Hall of Fame speech. On that scale, Chris, what would you give this episode?
I'm giving this I'll give it an 8.5.
Okay.
I just really like, for me, watching the team like go through what they went through and not snitch on each other. I think that was big. That was a huge thing for me. Yeah, okay. I just, from the football standpoint, that's I love it.
Yeah, I'll give Who's Your Daddy a 8, not 8.5, but 8. I'll give it a solid 8. I thought it was pretty good. It's just that the Minka Kelly performance made it a little weird, and then Taylor Kitsch. This is where you start realizing like this is his range as an actor, at least in Tim Riggins. And so you're kind of like, okay, it does what it needs to do, but it could be a little bit stronger. I think the next episode he gives us a little bit better performance. But yeah, that dynamic it's not great for me. But at the same time, you can see why they're smashing each other, because they're two very beautiful young people, right? And so
I thought that when they were in her room, I was just like, this is supposed to be a thing. They're both two good looking people. Yeah. Yeah. How did her dad not know? She was like, my dad's downstairs. As a dad, you have to go, it is too quiet. This is somebody is upstairs smashing my beautiful daughter quiet. I need to go bust that door open. It's too quiet.
I need to bust that door before he busts a nut inside my daughter. Lord Jesus. Chris, tell the people how they can follow you. Do any of your plugs you got to do, man.
Yeah, y'all can find me on everything social media at Chris Allen Comedy. Check out my special, Gotta Be Honest, on YouTube, Mark Norman's page. I got a new podcast coming out 2025, the new OGs, man, my boy Dowell. Keep a lookout for that. And I'm also in the works of starting my web series. I don't have a title yet, but I got somebody to shoot it. I'm super excited. So I'm probably looking at, man, maybe like summertime that could come out. So
okay,
I'm excited, man.
Dope. Yeah. Folks, you can follow me at Frodo_Blackens on Instagram and Threads, or just Frodo Blackens on Blue Sky. I got a Drunk Like History tour coming up in the new year, so be looking for dates for that at drunklikehistory.com, or you can check out my website, FrodoBlackens.com. Also got shows around the city and things like that. And also my Medium Popcorn, a movie review podcast, if you like some of the commentary I gave on here. And then if you have any suggestions, thoughts you want to share with Chris and I, feel free to email us at FridayNightLightsRewind@gmail.com, and leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. Help get the visibility of the show up and out there. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, all the good stuff. Just let us know that you're listening. Let us know that you like what we're doing, and also share your thoughts on these episodes. Let us know what your rankings would be for MVP or game ball of the episode and stuff like that, and we'll maybe recap it on the following episodes and stuff.
That would be great. Yes, leave a comment. Yeah, leave some comments. Let us know what you thought about the episode.
Absolutely. So, folks, we hope to see you next Friday for the game.
Hell yeah.
We'll talk
See
to
you on game day.